The drama is now in theaters. This is directed by Kristoffer Borgli. Kristoffer? Whatever. Starring Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, Alana Haim, and Mamadou Ati. This is the new rom-com that has been making the waves in terms of the press tour and the premise of it. A happily engaged couple is put to the test when an unexpected turn sends their wedding week off the rails. Now, I'm just going to, right off the bat, spoiler alert. If you don't want to know the twist of this movie before you see it, go watch the movie, then come back and watch this video. And I use the word twist. This is not a twist. It's the premise of the movie. So Robert Pattinson and Zendaya are engaged to be wed shortly in the movie. And amid a drunken game with their friends, it is revealed that Zendaya, her character, Emma, as a teenager, did not orchestrate, did not go through with it, but planned out in pretty big detail to carry out a school shooting, to carry out a mass murder at her high school that she transferred to, I believe, if I remember correctly. And so basically the premise of the movie in a one sentence joking manner is what would it take for you to call off your wedding to Zendaya? Is the answer. There's absolutely nothing that could be done for me to call off my wedding if I was getting married to Zendaya. Robert Pattinson has to deal with this. So it's a very dark premise, obviously. However, this movie and this script goes about it in a way that is refreshing, I would say. And that this movie does not dig deep into the underlying issues of why someone would want to carry out this horrific act. And it's not interested in this at all. It doesn't matter. It's not interested in gun control arguments. It's not interested in racial politics. Zendaya is a black teenager in the South. I think it's Louisiana in the movie, and feels ostracized. And, there are flashbacks to her as a teenager, played by a completely different actress who does a really good job, I think, where she's being bullied by all white kids. And it is there on the screen for you to clearly see. However, Zendaya doesn't have a monologue where she goes, I was the only black kid at my school and all the white people bullied. No, it doesn't do that. It's there for you to see, but there's absolutely no interest in digging into it more, following through with these themes. This is a rom-com. It's funny. There are really good comedic timing moments by these actors, specifically their photographer, who I believe is played by Zoe Winters. The photographer features in the trailer where, they're taking pictures and they're kind of awkwardly standing there because Robert Pattinson has just learned this information and he doesn't really know how to react. And she is very funny and has fantastic comedic timing. Haley Benton Gates is also in this movie, who's popped up in things like Poor Things, who I think is also very funny. This cast is really good. This is kind of an acting masterclass by a lot of the people in this movie. Robert Pattinson's the main character of this movie. Let's lead off with that. Pattinson is definitely the lead because the whole movie is, the premise is him reacting to this information that he learns about his fiancée Zendaya, and how he should go about, if he should go about anything. Basically, the movie understands, I think, that when you're young, when you're a kid, a teenager, whatever, you're stupid. You don't know anything. Kids don't know anything. Teenagers don't know anything. And so the question is, for Pattinson, sure, like, how does he deal with this? But also, we have to ask, we as the audience have to ask the question of, like, okay, so if Zendaya's character was moments away from this, basically, more or less, she said, we learned through, again, the flashbacks that she basically, had it all planned out. We see very funny flashbacks of her as a teenager recording her, manifesto more or less, and she keeps getting blue screens or the webcam software needs updated. And this is like in, the early 2000s, so the software sucks and it takes a while to load and stuff. And it's very funny. Really good timing, really good comedic timing on stuff like that. But like the question that it asks is, is this the same person basically? Is teenager Zendaya's character and current Emma, Zendaya's character's name, how much different are they? Could Zendaya one day do this as an adult or something like that, where, Robert Pattinson's character has to wonder, is this when I'm marrying someone that like on the brink, is that someone that is on the brink of, being a psychopath? Are they already a psychopath? Because they planned it all out. And if it wasn't for an incident that occurs off camera at a different location that isn't the school, that's what ends it. And that's what brings Zendaya's character her sense of community that she needs. And because of that, she becomes a gun rights activist, a gun control activist, I should say, where, she attends protests and, her dad, who we see, very briefly just for a couple scenes, talks about how, he was a military man. And so this was her way of rebelling. And, meanwhile, he does not know that in a way he's right, but in a way he's very wrong, because he was very close to having a daughter that committed a mass murder, basically. And the overarching theme of that portion of the movie is really dealing with, how lonely people feel. But it doesn't dig into it. Sure, you feel lonely and you miss the sense of community, and it can activate things in people that is no bueno and can cause horrific incidents and attacks. But this is all for you to like think about afterwards, because the movie just keeps on chugging along. This thing is, an hour, 40 minutes, and would much rather make you laugh. And it works. This movie's very funny. Pattinson's the introduction of Zendaya's character to Pattinson, when they're at a coffee shop and she's reading a book and has headphones in, but he doesn't see the headphones, so he's talking and just she is blanking him because she doesn't even know he's there. And it turns out she's deaf in one ear, and that all ties back to the premise of the movie as well. What would you do in that scenario is the question that, it feels like something you learn, maybe a new piece of information regarding the incident that never happened. And it's like, okay, so now I know this. What should I do now? And then you learn something else, and it's like, okay, now does that change my opinion of my fiance Zendaya or anything like that? But the movie ends, and again, we've been spoiling this whole time. They have their wedding. Goes pretty poorly. Pattinson, through his adventures of trying to cope or find a way to deal with this information, ends up attempting to have an affair with Haley Gates' character, more or less. It somewhat succeeds, somewhat fails. But that comes out at the wedding, and there are rumors going around the wedding that Alana Haim's character had been telling people about this incident that was not ever happening, and now Zendaya is going paranoid. Pattinson is stressed. Wedding ends in a disaster. Ends with Pattinson getting the shit beat out of him, basically by Haley Gates' boyfriend's character, and they end up together at a diner that they had talked about and mentioned a couple times throughout the movie. And it seems like the overarching moral of the story that Kristoffer Borgli wants us to have is that love is just crazy, I guess. And, if you believe in the whole soulmate thing, or, that's the way you move, then that's life, ain't it? You're stuck with this person, and that's okay for the most part. It seems like that's what he's trying to get after, is that love is crazy, isn't it? Wow, how about it? And if that's not your if that's not what you want out of this movie, because you've been dealing with, these themes, the potential themes, I should say, that are only scratching the surface for an hour and a half, and then the last 10 minutes you kind of just get like a shoulder shrug almost from the director and from the script. And if that's not for you, then I think that's okay. You can be upset about that. It cannot be your thing. I think it was fine. Ultimately, I was okay with it because, the movie's not necessarily wrong, where it's just like, it is crazy. And people, we have to deal with these things after the fact that you learn about them. Is like, what is Robert Pattinson's character going to do? How are they going to move on? Will they ever be the same? We don't know. Those are the answers that we don't have to questions that are being asked only at the end of the movie, basically. And we have to find a way to live with it, basically. And will Pattinson's character successfully do that? Who is to say? Certainly seems like it. Again, what would it take for you to call off your wedding to Zendaya? Is this on the list? Maybe not, I guess. But ultimately, I hope this movie does well at the box office. I'm a little nervous it's not going to hold very well. I think it's going to make good money because it is very much counter-programming to Super Mario Galaxy. Whether or not it holds, we'll see. I think people are going to be real mixed on this. I think people my age, late 20s, early 30s, or even younger than that, I don't know if it's going to vibe with everyone because, yes, it is funny, but I think people, once the premise is revealed and the Zendaya characters, her actions are brought to light, or her potential actions are brought to light, I think it might turn a lot of people off. And it's just going to be like, why are you making me try to laugh during this moment where, I don't view this as funny at all? And I think those people should laugh. I think those people should laugh more. I think this is a good movie to laugh at and enjoy. It's a rom-com. We need more rom-coms starring our best movie stars, our best looking actors and actresses. So this hits the nail on the head, in my opinion. Go see the drama in theaters everywhere now. That was I sounded like a narrator, like I got paid to say that one. I did not. Go see it in theaters. I recommend. I had a good time. I laughed a lot. In my audience, I had a packed house for my screening. My audience was loving it. They were laughing. They were gasping. They were it felt like they were on the edge of their seats for some of it too. They were real into it. So I'd say, my experience was positive, and I hope your audiences are positive on it as well. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, bloody, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.